It's time for Remodel Revolution. And now, an award-winning contractor with over 40 years experience. Here is Alex Guthrie.
Oh, man, I swear I fell for that. Welcome to another episode of Remodel Revolution. I'm your host, Alex Guthrie, and my engineer was just messing with me, and that's why I looked sort of confused. But I'm not, actually. We're going to have a fantastic show today. We have builder Donnie Mack. We're going to talk about lumber prices because this is affecting all of us and the industry in a whole. It's affecting people's decisions right now whether or not to actually build homes. Also, we're going to have Randy Hargrave. First, we're going to have Randy Hargrave. We're talking helical piers and foundation repair. And then we're going to do a product review at the end of the show. You might want to really stick around for that. It's a fantastic new product that's on the market. It's going to make your house look a whole lot better. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. I know it's been raining. I know everything around your house is wet on the soil and you're having to wipe your feet off when you come in. But trust me, the dry season is right around the corner. And I asked our first guest today, Randy Hargrave, about a year ago. I said, Randy, when's the best time to have you on the show to talk about foundation repair and when people should be calling you? And he said 3 months ago. So I decided this year to call him early and not wait until it's already dry outside. So welcome to the show, Randy Hargrave with Hargrave and Hargrave Foundation Repair. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, Alex.
That's
How
great.
are you?
I'm really good, really good. And you've been in business, your family's been in business for a couple of years. Give us a brief, yes. Give our audience a brief history of how long you guys have been around.
It was in 1968, wow. Alex, that my dad and my brother started the foundation company, and I was in high school at the time. And then when I got out, then we've been around since then, and word of mouth, and just built the reputation of doing a good job. Honest day's work for honest day's pay. Well,
of course, I've used Hargrave and Hargrave for years, and there's no one else I would call, quite honestly. Even if I'm doing a foundation for you builders and homeowners, even if I'm doing a new foundation, a lot of times I'll call Randy and say, okay, this is what they've engineered, or if they've engineered beams, and not beams, but piers into the foundation, I'll almost always ask the engineer if helical piers are a good substitute, and engineers love helical piers. So let's talk a minute. I want to talk for a little bit about foundation repair because that's what you specialize in. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how people are calling you on their new foundations now as well. When should a homeowner call you for foundation repair? What are they going to look at on a crack in a wall or something in their house and go, boy, I better call Randy?
Yeah, when they start seeing cracks on the brick cracks on the outside perimeter, or doors that are misaligned on the inside, door sticking, the gap at the top of the door is wider on one side, like the hinge side. It'll be the same, but the striker side will be wider or tighter. And so when they see that and they just feel like there's something wrong, then they give us a call, and then our secretaries will line up a schedule for them.
So if you feel like you're walking downhill, like you're walking across the bedroom, and you're like, man, all of a sudden I feel like I'm going downhill.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe that's a good time, or uphill.
Or if their child drops a ball and it all of a sudden it rolls to the wall.
It rolls to the other side of the house.
So
I actually have a couple of friends, and I did it for years, that would keep ping pong balls with us. And when we'd go and look at a house, if we were going to do a remodel or an addition or something, we'd actually just drop a little ping pong ball on there and see what happens.
see which way it rolls.
Is absolutely the easiest way to tell if something's not quite level.
That's right. Or your door automatically swings open when you try to shut it,
Right.
and it swings back the other
It doesn't
direction.
necessarily mean the house is haunted. It could
right.
be just out
It
of
could be,
level.
depends on who lived there before it, whether it was haunted or not. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Helical piers, which is what you specialize in, are really unique. They're like a big wood screw that goes in the dirt. Explain to us exactly, and we've got a picture of some helical piers that we're going to pop up real quick. Explain to us exactly what a helical pier is and the process to get it in.
Okay. Well, the helical pier is a disc that's cut at an angle around like a screw. And as it screws itself in the ground, we have a torque indicator on our machine or a gauge inside the machine, and we put it into torque. And we keep adding extensions. As you see there, we keep adding extensions to it to get it to the right torque. Because your engineers will say, well, we need a 25 kips here.
So torque is resistance.
Yeah, torque would be a resistance. Like putting torque on a head bolt on a motor. All right, you put that torque, or your lug bolts now, they put them on torque.
Or anytime you're screwing something with a screwdriver, or torque is the amount of pressure it takes to turn it.
That's right.
And so when you get to a certain resistance, then you're what? How do you know? What are we getting to?
Well, we're getting into a good soil. Basically, you want to get below the active soil in the Metroplex. And 9 times out of 10, it's around anywhere from 12 to 20 feet. You get past that, so you keep adding extensions until you reach that designated torque, and that's given to you by the engineer most of the time. On a residential, like a remedial,
So excuse me. So the engineer will say, Randy, I want it to have X amount of pounds of torque, and then we've reached our goal.
That would be for the new construction or swimming pools that we do. Just for remedial, we put them into a natural 25 kips.
So when we were doing, all we did for years were concrete piers, and we would dig down until we saw a change in soil. And the engineer would say, well, if it's blue, it's this. If it's white, it's this. If it's white, keep going.
Yeah, just keep going.
Or often we hit water. I've hit water as shallow as 13 feet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, then you have
so
to case
you have to just case it, or try and get under it, or stay on top of it.
Yeah, one of the two, because your soil is not just level underneath your subsoil. It's up and down. So each pier, like a concrete pier, you're going to drill them all 15 feet.
Right.
So some places may hit real good soil, other places may not. With the Helix, every pier is a different depth.
Because it goes down to that resistance.
It goes into that resistance.
Can you send that through that wet soil?
Yeah.
Without having to case it?
Yes, you sure can. We got them in fishing piers in San Antonio and Frisco, where they go out and they're in the water all the time.
You just keep going down till you get the torque. It doesn't matter.
That's right.
And so basically what you end up with is this steel rod that's coming up through the ground, and that's essentially what everything sits on.
Yeah.
So is that as stout or hold up as well as a pier that's 10 inches in diameter, a concrete pier?
Comparable, yeah. Oh, yeah. If there's a house like a new construction and they had concrete spec'd for 15 feet and they're hitting water, then they call me, then I can put them in at the same time, the same distance apart, one for one, and we'll put them into the torque that they need. And that may go deeper than 15 because I've got to reach my torque.
It's got to go to where it goes, right. So like you're saying, instead of everything being 20, which is what I've done for years, you know, it's like, okay, because I get the quote from the concrete guy as the builder. The quote is X amount of 20-foot piers or
Right.
whatever they need to be. And now, one other thing that is along those lines is a good question, I think, is when you do a soil survey, before you do a foundation, you do a soil survey where they come out and they basically drill a hole down in the soil and they actually locate that soil, that subsoil that you're trying to reach, whether it's clay or they'll tell you if there's rock or water, whatever it is. Is that required with a helical, or can you just go down to where you hit?
I got some builders and some engineers that I deal with want me to go do a probe test. So I'll go out to that lot that they're going to build on, and I'll run a probe test, and I'll monitor every foot the torque. Mm-hmm. And then I take that and I give it back to the builder or the
So
engineer.
it's kind of the same thing, but not
Like
for
a
a
soil
10-inch.
Right.
It's for not for concrete, but for the.
And then they can give
it's
them a
interesting.
firm price as to what it is, either the square shaft or round shaft pipe pier.
Very, very interesting. Very interesting.
So,
How long have helical piers been around?
well, the Chance Helical Pier's been around since the 1900s or earlier.
Wow.
When A.B. Chance designed and built them. We have been doing the Helical Pier since 1988, probably longer than anybody in the Metroplex.
And one of the things that I had you do first, and probably one of the reasons I called you in the 90s, was because we had to put some piers inside a house in a pier and it was a pier and beam house.
Right.
So we had the wood floor taken out and everything, but we had to get piers in there.
Right.
And of course they called, well, you're going to hand dig a pier. Well, if I hand dig 5 foot deep or as deep as I can get concrete pier, that's nothing if you have movement down there. It just doesn't reach it.
Doesn't reach
So
it.
talk to us about how you can get these. It's fascinating how you do this.
Yeah, we go inside the house and you'll just give us right next to the seal, the wood seal, and we'll cut the hole. We'll put the pier in. Right next to it, then we have what they call a beam seat bracket. And that beam seat bracket will slide over the pier and we rotate it around. Usually the carpenter does that and then they dial in to they jack.
Your machine that you use, though, is what fascinates me.
It's we got two now. We got a handheld that we do it the old-fashioned way that you have to pick it up and do it all by hand. Now we got one if the floor is stout enough, then we've got a walk-behind bobcat.
Oh, really?
That'll go through a 36-inch door that we can go in and install the piers by that. But still, mostly on pier and beams, we do it by hand. I don't trust the floor.
We've had, yeah, right. But we've had, I've seen some pictures of your machine where it actually sticks inside through a window.
Yeah, we've done that. We call it a stinger. We put the stinger on the bobcat, and we can line up through that window and shoot that thing right through that window.
That's
and install.
amazing. That's amazing. Because a lot of times you may not realize it, but your house foundation, here's what happens with your foundation in Texas. First of all, Randy, how many different soil conditions?
There's all kinds. You got a potential vertical rise from 0 to 12 to 0 to 2.
Right.
So you got really expansive soil in the Metroplex. We're blessed with expansive soil.
Yeah, right. You're blessed with expansive soil.
You may be right there.
We've got, but what will happen is the soil will dry out. So when we have a drought during the summer, the soil doesn't just dry out around the perimeter of the house. The soil dries out underneath the house. And the longer the drought goes, the deeper it dries out. So the moisture that's normally trapped under your house, supporting that expansive soil where we want it, is now way down. Now, because when we put these foundations in, we calculate in the amount of moisture in the soil. And so when that soil dries out and it gets down to even the water table, which it will do, it starts shrinking underneath your house and losing support. Now, most foundations can handle most of that,
Right.
but for some reason, a lot of them don't. They'll have a weak spot in them, or they'll have an old tree underneath them that rotted out and makes a void. And for whatever reason, it can just be a load where it's carrying a load-bearing wall, but it's suspended now. Where it was supported before, now it may have a big gap.
Big gap underneath.
Yeah, and that's where Randy comes in, and And I guess on a slab you would have to just knock a hole in it, and
If it's on the interior,
Yeah.
we cut it in. We don't like going inside houses and doing it, but that's the way we do it. We try to locate. We don't try. We do. We locate the transition beams or the interior beams if you have to go inside. Normally, probably 90% of the time, the perimeter of the 8 foot from the outside wall in is what settles. Unless you got a water leak or something.
you know, it seems like in the 90s probably we started getting a lot more serious about our engineering on concrete slabs. Now, if you have a house that was built pre-95, you know, if you have a house that's 30 years old, 35 maybe, you have a house that, if it's a slab, that was likely the beams and everything were just sort of done by the concrete guy. He just went, well, you know, we just put in, it's 12 inches wide and it's 12 inches deep. It's as deep as a shovel will get.
That's right. That's about right.
That's how they did it. And they didn't even particularly spend a lot of time putting a lot of steel in it and stuff like that. And so when you have an older house like that, the effect of that drought is a whole lot different than a newer. Nowadays, we have an engineered foundation that's got big beams, lots of steel. It's all planned out for worst case scenario, right?
They do.
But things still happen.
That's right. And they do it. And then I looked at a job the other day, and the builder doesn't like piers. He likes soil injection and select fill. Well, why are you calling me out now that I'm going to have to put piers in so why not go ahead and put piers in your house when you do whether it's concrete or helix, put them in before to do everything to support your foundation, because that's your major investment.
So soil injection is where they go and they take the expansive soil and they inject something in it.
Some kind of a chemical to repel the water. Yeah.
It kills all the microbes in it.
Right.
And so it can't expand.
Yeah.
And it's a very specific science. I'm sure it works fine. I've never done it because I trust Piers, because I know it can be fixed later. But it's you're messing with Mother Nature when you're starting to do that stuff.
Yeah, because I've worked on them that's been soil injected, so it don't matter. It really don't.
What kind of warranty do people get with a helical pier?
Well, our warranty is a 6-year. It's the first 6 years. Any movement will come back and readjust it at no cost. After that, then we will come back and readjust it just for like 20% of the original cost, just to cover our labor and gas. And our warranty is to the house as long as the house is there. I don't care how many times it sells. I don't care what happens.
So it transfers from owner to owner.
Yeah, we don't even, it's just there.
Now, I have seen, and we've all seen in this business, and particularly in this area, all kinds of foundation repair companies.
Warranties,
and the foundation repair companies have had some very imaginative ways of supporting or adding these piers. And it used to be that we just had a crew of guys go out and dig a bunch of holes around. A lot of them still do that.
They do.
And I'm not.
If they're working on Saturday, then they're bootlegging it.
Yeah.
Probably, because they can't get inspection.
Right. Now, are the cities requiring inspections now on foundation
most of them they
repair?
just want a letter from the engineer.
So, if I know of a couple of houses that I've seen over the years that have had to have the foundation warranty people come out almost yearly and adjust them, because they put in these concrete cylinders. What they are is they're boring. So I guess that's how it started. There's boring cylinders.
That's where they started them. And you can do that. You can get everything you want to do foundation yourself at Home Depot.
Right.
If you want to.
And here's the problem, though. It's loose.
Yeah.
And so the soil doesn't stay consistent. I mean, it's put in a way that I've never allowed it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't dig down and at least have a concrete pier. And then, of course, when I learned about helical, it was just a no-brainer for me. I was like, why would you even do it any other way? But the most important part of foundation repair is the engineering.
Right. That is. And, you said something about, we did concrete for 20-something years, drilled concrete piers. And when we started with the Helix, our warranty cut to less than 1% of every job we do.
Wow.
And on your warranties, if you use someone else, be sure to check the transfer, because if you don't transfer them within 30 days, warranty's void.
Wow.
On a lot of people.
They
need to check that.
One of the things I loved about the Helical, I felt like I could put kind of as many of them as I needed in there.
Yeah.
It was sort of like so when they're fixing your foundation on your home, what they should be doing, and I think most of them are pretty good about it, is they'll lift part of it and then they'll check it. Then they'll lift another part, and then they'll decide if they, how to go through that process to achieve what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Now, how many houses have you ever been on that are actually level?
You'll never get one back perfectly level. You'll just not be able to do that, because there's debris, there's nails pulled, so you'll not be able to get to that point to where it's fully level.
I mean, once it's lifted and rocks have fallen down under it,
Yeah.
it can't go down any further. What are realistic expectations for a homeowner that are going to have their foundation?
Okay. What realistically is your outside brick cracks, they should close, separation around the windows should close, doors, and you never want to bring it back up past that point. And because every house is not poured perfectly level anyway. And when you shoot elevations are just relevant. No one knows where a perfect zero is. So when you get to that point, you just try to use common sense.
You're using those elevations as a baseline.
Yeah, as a baseline.
Right.
But it's crazy when you get in and you see -3, and then you look at the homeowner and they say, "Wow, my house is 3 inches low." That's just relative. We don't know where the perfect zero is.
Yeah, right.
And so I said, don't let the elevations scare you. Don't let them frighten you, but it seems to do it. So sometimes it's better, excuse me, to not even bring about the elevations to the homeowner, because
They start worrying about something they don't need to worry about.
Excuse me.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, well, I think that's fascinating. One other thing that's super important, is there really a best or worst time of year to do this, or does it just, when it shows up, address it quickly?
Well, I think it depends on the situation. If you're selling, you got to address it. We do them year round. Preferentially, I would rather do them in the springtime or when it's wet, because your Mother Nature has swelled up and moved that house as much as it could. And all you're doing is picking up just a little bit more and stabilizing it. That way, keeping it from when the dry, from July to
So you're protecting it from the shrinking soil, not
Right.
Exactly.
That's
yeah.
right. But we do it year round. But if I was doing my house, if I went in a hurry and I could wait, I would monitor it for 6 months, even after my elevations. Shoot elevations in the winter, in the wet, shoot elevations in the dry, and then see what it goes from
And
there.
then you have really a good view of what's happening with it. That's
very few times, Alex, we'll go out and say, if it's really drastic, you might need to get some piers now. Or we say, watch it, call us back in 3 or 4 months. Let's reshoot it after the rain, after something, to see and kind of monitor it. Because there's hundreds of houses that we go back to 6 months later and reshoot and evaluate it. You get that benchmark and then work it that way.
Right.
So
really appreciate you coming.
You're welcome.
Spending
Enjoy
the
it.
morning with us. Great
right.
information and very relevant. So give Randy a call if you think you need some foundation repair. And there, I'll tell you, one of the first thing that sold me on them, the first time I called them, I sent them out to a client that had a lot of movement. And it ended up, they didn't really need foundation repair. It was actually just moisture around their foundation that wasn't draining properly. And that's exactly what Randy's people told this homeowner. Said, you don't need us. No. And that said a whole lot about the character of their company. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Donnie Mack with Beaver Builders. He's going to tell us how the cow ate the cabbage. Hey, don't forget to follow us on all your social media. Like us on Facebook, subscribe and share on YouTube, and check us out on all your social media platforms. Don't forget to watch Remodel Revolution on your smart TV, on Texas Weather Tracker TV, on Roku, Android, Apple, and Amazon TV, Sundays at 1 and 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Imagine this, a totally customized, organized, and beautiful master closet. A home office that fits right into a perfect space. A pantry designed specifically for your storage needs. Imagine your home totally organized. It's time to call the design professionals at Closets by Design DFW and turn your dreams into a reality. With a design staff over 30 strong, Closets by Design works directly with you to create your dream space, and they build it locally, helping support the DFW community. Check them out at dallas.closetsbydesign.com or call them at 972-361-0010. Use the promo code RRV to find out about the amazing specials and discounts available. That's dallas.closetsbydesign.com or call them at 972-361-0010, and don't forget that promo code RRV, Closets by Design. It's only a few short weeks until we'll be running our air conditioners all day and all night. Hey, it's time to get an HVAC tune-up schedule. Call my friends at Total Air and Heat in Plano, Texas at 972-881-0020 right now and get on their schedule for a tune-up. Don't wait for the long lines. Get ahead of the crowd. Total Air has been servicing North Dallas and Plano and Richardson areas for over 60 years. Steve and Justin Lawton sell and service Carrier brand heating and cooling systems with Green Speed Intelligence technology. So give them a call at 972-881-0020 or contact them at totalair.com. Man, I'll tell you what, if you're building a house or remodeling a house, whether you're the homeowner or the contractor, you are looking at lumber prices and you're shocked. Everybody is. And I really needed to get somebody in here that is dealing with it. So I asked my friend Donnie Mack to come in. Donnie is a home builder in the North Dallas area, North Texas area actually. And he's a smaller builder. And what I mean by that is he's not a big production builder that has, hundreds of houses going at a time. He actually has to deal with the pricing on a very personal level with his projects. And so the big guys, a lot of the big guys, they can withstand a bunch of this stuff, but not the little guys. That's who I'm worried about. Welcome to the show, Donnie Mack. How are you?
Thank you for having me on, Alex.
Yeah.
I'm doing good.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit. Give us sort of a rundown of what you're seeing with material prices in building.
It keeps going up, and I don't know that anybody knows where that point's going to be, where it stops. But it's between material pricing and the availability of it, it makes a lot of challenges going on that we've got to contend with.
Where were you, say, a year ago? Give us something to compare.
I'll give you a good idea. Say about a year ago, we would build a house, 2,500 square foot. We would probably spend about between $25,000, $28,000, give or take, for lumber prices. That same house could cost us in excess of $60,000, $70,000. That's twice.
That's almost twice your material.
Just material.
Just material. More. Now, the other challenges you've had this year is actually getting your hands on the material. It's availability of it. What kind of things, tell us give us some examples of that.
Prime example we have going on right now. We've got we're anticipating a allocation of OSB plywood. So
tell our audience what OSB means.
OSB plywood is the oriented strand board that we put on the outside of houses for structural strength, and then we also use it for the decking. And the just the plywood itself, this time last year I was paying around $7 a sheet. Now it's in excess of $52 a sheet.
That is just
for that one material.
Unbelievable.
And the you can't get it. So we had our supplier tell us the other day that he's having a real hard time getting the plywood in. So I actually went through and found a big box store, Home Depot, and I bought 7 units of it, and I've got it stored in my warehouse. Because we have a house we're pouring probably next week. We're going to need lumber on.
And that's what a lot of people are going to be doing because they have to, because you still have to build houses. You still have to move forward. Is this starting to affect your ability to sign contracts at this point?
Well, the pricing is. A lot of it's like the buyer in a lumber market. They're leery of what the lumber's going to do, so they don't want to buy a lot. If I have a homeowner who wants to come by and pay cash for a house, why pay cash for the house now when they know when they think 6 months, 8 months, or a year, they can reduce that house by 15-20%. So yeah, we're seeing a slowdown and hesitation to getting contracts.
Well, I mean, people are nervous for good reason, and they're looking at the value, and they're seeing stories. Like I was doing my research for this, and they're talking about houses that they bought a year ago that are now valued a whole lot higher than they ever imagined. Because of this, it's driving things kind of in an odd direction from that perspective, and availability, of course. And as you slow down, or the small builder slows down, the availability of housing slows down. It's all going to come to some sort of a head at some point. It has to. So you're also dealing with slowdowns in getting materials like tile and other things as well from time to time. Is that improved any?
No, it's about the same, if it's not gotten a little worse. The benefit that we had, we're part of a buyers group, and as a whole, the buyers group is about the 7th largest buyer of materials in the nation. So the buyers group has some leverage that helps us being a small builder out, but we're still seeing, let's look at windows. We had a 3 to 4 week lead time on windows prior to this pandemic thing that happened, and now they're looking for anywhere from an 8 to 10 week.
Right.
So
I just experienced that. Yeah. And so you have a project that you can build to a certain point, and then basically it stops. I mean, at some point you're like, well, unless the city will work with me, the inspectors will work with me, and most of them are pretty good about that. I have to sort of stop because there's a sequence that things have to be done before you can take the next step. And of course, one of the primary things is weatherizing the house, which includes the roof and the windows. How's your roofing? Are y'all having problems with roofing material yet?
So far we haven't had a problem with the roofing material, but another thing that helps us is keeping things on schedule and understanding the lead time for materials that are coming in. So if you work your schedule and normally, like let's pick on windows, we would order the windows when we started the day we poured the slab, because we knew in about 4 weeks we need windows on site. Well, now we're ordering the windows when we start doing the engineering for the house, which makes it tough, because now if a homeowner has a change, which we do pure custom, and a lot of times they want to change things, they can't change the window color. They may change the window size, but if they do, it's going to push that particular opening back beyond.
You mean your homeowners make changes?
Can you believe that? And I can't pick on one gender, but a lot of people like changes.
Yeah.
And that's what's nice about being a custom home builder.
Yeah.
We're going to build a home that you like. If you want to make a change, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, we can make that
It's
change.
just not as easy as it used to be. And one of the reasons I wanted to have this segment today was I think that we need a reality check with our clients. And they get it one way or another. But don't get mad at your builder or designer because things aren't going the way you want them to go schedule-wise. We really don't have much control over that anymore. I mean, I don't know how much we ever did, but we reached a point years ago where they quit stocking warehouses with things for us. And a lot of things that we used to be able to get in a couple of days, I'm talking about kitchen faucets and appliances and things. I have a client that ordered their appliances when they were designing. It's a kitchen remodel, And when they're designing the kitchen remodel with the designer, they found out that the appliance package was going to take 14 weeks to get their appliances. Huh? And so before they ever called me or any other contractor to look at it, the first thing they had done was already order their appliances. And so these are sort of, these are presenting real challenges schedule-wise.
Yeah.
When does it become a problem for a builder where you've got these delays in materials? And next, I want to talk about labor.
Well, if you think about it, when we build a house, we have a certain amount of the overhead as applied to the overhead of the construction company. So you plan that overhead to cover a certain number of days, a certain number of months, say 6 months. So that job delays out another 2 months on top of that. Well, then you only can build maybe 4 or 5 homes at a time. So that allocation of that to your overhead creates a distress to the company. And then you think about the costs that are recurring, and it depends on what kind of builder you are. Are you cost plus? Are you fixed price? Are you speculative builder? So if you build the cost plus or speculative homes, it's a little bit different than a custom builder, because a custom builder, we anticipate the cost. So 6 months, we got builder's risk, we've got the
Your overhead
cost applied to it. Well, then as it extends out, that replenishes that, makes it a little bit more harder.
So it throws everything out of balance, basically.
And on a cost plus build, a homeowner qualifies for X amount of money. So all those costs apply to that home start escalating beyond. So if the homeowner was approved for a certain amount of money, and now all of a sudden that home goes to extending beyond that cost they were approved for, what do you get at the end then? So it's just
yeah, that was going to be one of my questions, was how the banks are handling this, because a homeowner will have a maximum they qualify for, and how long does it take you to go through that process before you ever start actually building and ordering materials? Typically it's months.
It's 2 or 3 months.
Yeah. And so right now our changes are almost coming daily. I mean, there's no way to know actually what it's going to cost in 2 or 3 months when you order that frame and package or whatever it is.
The beauty of that is, used to we can assign a PO to lumber package, and they'd lock it in for 60 days. Well, now the price isn't adjusted until the day we take delivery. So we don't know what we can have an anticipated idea.
In other words, you set a budget, but in they used to say we'll guarantee that price for 60 days, but now they're saying we're not guaranteeing anything. It's the price when we deliver it of what it is. And I know you got caught up in that. A lot of guys got caught up in that when this started happening a few months ago, where these builders are getting their framing package, and it's $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, or depending on the size of the house, higher than when they bid it based on the older price, and there was nothing they could do about it. And so it presents a huge problem. So you can go back to your homeowner and say, I need that money, and they can say, we signed a contract. Well, let's go back to the bank. Nope, they only qualify for this. I don't know how that affects everything. It just seems like it's a big old cluster.
Well, the contracts that most builders use from the TAB, Texas Association of Builders, it has a clause at the end that if the material increases 25% more or more, that they can adjust it for that. But personally, I've never used that statement in the contract. But if, like you were saying, if the homeowner qualifies for X amount of money, it don't matter what you try to push forward on. They've signed a contract for a set amount, they can't pay anymore.
Well, they can't pay anymore. Can they pay out of pocket, though, above that?
Some homeowners can, but a lot of the buyers we're seeing are pushing the extreme of what they can afford for that investment.
Yeah, and that's scary in and of itself. So what is your sort of, how do you anticipate this, or do you have any expectations going forward? Have you heard anything through the grapevine about whether or not this is going to get better or worse, or what do you anticipate?
Well, I'm not an economist, but we've been paying attention to a lot of economists and what they've been saying, and we're seeing and hearing that they're thinking toward the end of the third quarter, into the fourth quarter, maybe. But because
maybe what?
Maybe we may start seeing some relief. But that maybe doesn't go very far.
Right. It doesn't help.
No,
That's a maybe.
We've got 2 more quarters to work through and make it through this, what we're facing right now.
Right, right. Wow. Well, I wish you all the luck in the world.
That's a lot of fun.
I
I think
know.
everybody should jump into it.
I'll tell you what, it's kind of like driving down a Dallas highway, folks. You're just taking your life in your hands every single time. Thank you so much for taking time out for us and explaining that to us today. I really hope you guys get a lot of relief really soon, because we all need it. We all need it.
Well, I appreciate you having me.
Sure, sure. We're going to take just a second. We're going to take a little quick break here, and then we're going to do a product review. And I've asked Donnie to stay and look at this product as well. I want his opinion as a builder. We'll be right back. Hey, don't forget to follow us on all your social media, like us on Facebook, subscribe and share on YouTube, and check us out on all your social media platforms. Don't forget to watch Remodel Revolution on your smart TV, on Texas Weather Tracker TV, on Roku, Android, Apple, and Amazon TV, Sundays at 1 and 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm always looking for new and interesting products that I see. A lot of times when I'm watching, I'll go onto the remodel pages on the internet, look in the magazines, and LinkedIn has become a very popular place. And I saw this product on LinkedIn that I really like. Now, one of the things that I know that a lot of my clients like is a clean look. And this sounds small, but what this is called a push plate. And this is a plate that goes over a light switch or an outlet in your wall. And the difference in this is that it actually just pops on. There's no screws. And so I can imagine, and Donnie will back me up on this, that there's going to be a lot of ladies and a lot of designers that like that look because it's so clean. We're going to run a quick little video and kind of show you how it's installed. And then Donnie and we're going to get Donnie's opinion, what he thinks about it.
When installing push plates for the first time, step 1, in the case that it's a double or a triple gang rocker, flip the plate over, align the switches. Step 2, take your screwdriver and punch above and below each screw hole to clear the drywall. Next, take your plate, align the bottom prongs with the bottom screw holes, tilt forward, align the top, and then firmly press on above each prong.
Well, that looks really interesting, Donnie, and it looks like it looks like it's easy, and it looks like it's clean. And I did talk to the people that are the inventors of this product. I've talked to them, wonderful people, and they've got a lot more styles coming out. They've got the Decora and that type of thing coming out. So, what are your first thoughts on this as a builder?
Well, it is a clean look. I'm concerned with the end piecing up, breaking off. It's just dead.
I mean, I think that's legitimate.
But it would give a clean look on the outside. I'm not sure. Not a lot of sheetrock around these plugs are exactly flat, and that's when the benefits of having the screw in. You can suck it up a little bit tighter. I'm not sure what it would, how tight that would work, but it does give a clean look if it's installed properly. Yeah.
I mean, my main thing was the look, and then the first thing that I asked the manufacturer was, what about pulling them back off? That was the first thing, because when you're going through the process, let's just say you're repainting a room, or you have a painter in there, they're going to want to pop these things off and paint around it and then pop them back on. And they told me that that should work for about, I think he said 12 to 15 removals and reapply. Well, if that's the case, then you really wouldn't ever really have to worry about it, because you don't repaint your house 15 times. Most people don't repaint their houses 15 times, but someone might. And so overall, I give this product a B. And the only reason it's not an A is because, like Donnie, I'm a little bit concerned about these little pegs and them getting broken, and mostly not because they're not well made, but because I know construction workers, and they're going to drop that thing down on its face, and they're going to step on that. And, we know that's going to happen because it does. And so that would be the only drawback I have to this, but I absolutely love the look of it. And I love the idea that they're coming out with new styles in it. In other words, a Decora style, which is a flat edge and more variety of plugs that they can cover. So all in all, I'm going to give it a B. What do you give it?
I would have to give it at least a B. Also, I couldn't give it an A. And it goes back to the installation of it. If you're not lined up good, it may break a little point off. When it's installed, it would give it a good clean look. You don't have the screw head you're looking at, so it would be a nice feature.
So that's our product review today. Thank you so much for being with us. This is Alex Guthrie signing off until next week. You've been watching Remodel Revolution.
The views and opinions of this program are for educational and entertainment purposes only and are not intended to replace the recommendations of a hired professional. You can catch Remodel Revolution anytime. Follow the show on the website, remodelrevolutionradio.com, or on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, using the handle @Remodel Revolution Radio. You can always listen to the show on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and TuneIn, and watch the show anytime on YouTube.